What would you do if your 8-year-old daughter stood on a stage in front of a room full of strangers and read a poem that exposed the deepest parts of your heart without warning, without rehearsal, just the truth raw and public? That's exactly what happened to Jack Turner. He thought he was attending a simple school showcase. Instead, his daughter Lily stepped into the spotlight and with a trembling voice and a spine of steel, told the world that her hero didn't wear a suit or drive a fancy car, he wore kindness, and it never went out of style. In that moment, the crowd went silent, but Rachel Bennett, the woman who had once pushed Jack away to protect her career, stood frozen in the wings. Knowing what she had to do next would change everything. This isn't just a story about a school project or an unexpected romance. It's about second chances, about the quiet power of showing up dusty boots and all, and about how love sometimes walks in late, sits quietly in the back row, and waits to be seen. Stay with us, because what happens next will break your heart and then put it back together in a way you never saw coming. The plastic chairs squeaked as parents shifted in their seats. Posters with bold slogans like "Be brave," "Dream big," and "Kindness counts" lined the classroom walls. You could smell dry erase markers and burnt coffee. Nervous chatter filled the air. It was the usual parent-teacher meeting until Jack arrived. He came in breathless, smelling of pine and old engine oil, wearing a worn flannel shirt and jeans streaked with sawdust. His boots left faint prints on the polished linoleum floor. Heads turned, whispers sparked, but Jack didn't notice them. He only saw Lily, his 8-year-old daughter, waving furiously from the third row, a grin lighting up her whole face. "Daddy," she called out louder than she should have, but no one had the heart to hush her. He offered a quiet apology to the room and quickly sat beside her, his large hands folding awkwardly in his lap. His heart thudded, not because of the stairs, but because he hated being late. He had been patching a widow's roof without charge because her pension check hadn't come in, but here in this room filled with polished shoes and silent judgment, no one knew that. At the front of the room stood Rachel Bennett, the principal, poised, graceful, clipboard in hand. Her tailored dress looked like it came from a catalog, and her heels tapped softly against the tile as she spoke with confidence. But something in her shifted the moment Jack sat down. She noticed the way Mrs. Whitmore, a PTA mother in pearls, leaned in to whisper something snide to the woman beside her. Rachel saw the subtle glance of disapproval from Mr. Callahan, chair of the board. But more than that, she saw the way Lily took her father's hand, completely trusting, completely proud. Rachel took a breath, forcing her smile to remain calm and unshaken. "Now that we're all here," she began, her eyes locking briefly with Jack's. "Let's begin." Jack tried to pay attention, but Rachel's voice pulled at him like a lullaby he didn't know he missed. She wasn't like other principals she didn't speak to. Impressed didn't bark data points. She made eye contact. She spoke with purpose. She said things like creativity matters and confidence is part of the curriculum. And for the first time in years, Jack found himself believing in a school not because of the test scores, but because of the woman speaking. When it was time for questions, a sharply dressed father raised his hand. "What's the school doing to raise math scores? I heard the averages dropped 6%. Jack felt Lily tense beside him. Rachel answered gracefully. "We've hired a new part-time math specialist and adjusted curriculum, but we're also investing in emotional growth and creativity. When students feel seen and supported, test scores follow naturally." Some nodded, others didn't. "But Jack," he raised his hand. Rachel blinked, surprised. "Yes, Mr. Turner." He stood slowly. "I'm not great at this," he said, voice low and gravelly. "But I just wanted to say I don't care much about test scores. I care that my daughter wakes up excited to come here. I care that she feels safe, that someone listens to her. That's what matters to me." A hush fell over the room. Even the judgmental stares faded for a moment. Rachel's voice softened. "Thank you, Mr. Turner. That means more than you know." After the meeting, as parents grabbed their coats and sipped lukewarm coffee, Jack crouched to tie Lily's shoelaces. That's when Rachel approached clipboard, hugged to her chest like a shield she suddenly didn't need. "She talks about you a lot," she said. Jack looked up. "Good things, I hope. She said you make the best grilled cheese sandwiches in Riverbend and that you taught her to fix a lawnmower." Jack chuckled. "She did most of the work. I just handed her the wrench." There was a pause. Rachel shifted, then almost impulsively said, "We're doing a library restoration this Saturday. Some shelves are falling apart. I heard you're good with tools. Jack narrowed his eyes playfully. Who told you that? She smiled. A little bird with pigtails and peanut butter on her chin. He laughed, and in that moment, amidst the smell of dry coffee and overheard gossip, something unspoken passed between them. Something honest. Something waiting to bloom. I'll be there, he said, as long as I don't need a license to handle splinters. Rachel smiled again. This time it reached all the way to her eyes. Neither of them knew it yet, but that meeting, those 12 late minutes, had just rewritten the story of their lives. Forgive me for interrupting this story here, but I hope you'll understand. The next chapter holds a twist that neither Jack nor Rachel could have expected. Before we continue, let me ask you, have you ever met someone unexpectedly, someone who completely shifted the course of your heart? Do you believe that love can grow from the smallest, quietest moments, like a shared smile in a crowded room? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and tell us, which country are you watching from? If this story touched your heart, even just a little, please drop a like and share it with someone who believes in second chances. Saturday morning arrived with the scent of cinnamon in the air and a quiet electricity that only comes when something is about to change forever. Jack Turner pulled up in his old pickup truck outside Maplewood Elementary, a toolbox and 2 oak planks in the back. He hadn't slept much. Lily had been buzzing since breakfast, giddy over the promise of building something epic with Miss Bennett. Jack, he told himself, he was just showing up to fix shelves, that it was nothing, but he wasn't sure he believed that anymore. Inside the library, Rachel Bennett was already working, sleeves rolled, cardigan dusted with wood shavings. Her hair was tied back loosely, a few strands falling in soft waves. Jack paused in the doorway, watching her wrestle with a stubborn screw, completely unaware of how beautiful she looked in that imperfect moment. You look like you're losing a battle, he said gently. Rachel looked up, startled, then smiled. It's putting up a good fight. He stepped in, dropped his toolbox with a quiet clink. Let me have a go. For the next hour they worked side by side. She held panels steady. He replaced cracked brackets. They fell into a rhythm, their conversation casual until it wasn't. During a break, Jack handed her a thermos. Coffee. She blinked. You brought coffee, old habit from job sites, he said, pouring her a cup. Helps people open up. She took a sip, exhaled. This might be the kindest thing anyone's done for me all week. Jack watched her carefully. Tough crowd, it's not the kids. It's the expectations, the politics, trying to be everything all the time and still be seen as enough. Her voice cracked just slightly. Some days I feel like I'm hanging on by a thread. Jack was quiet, then said softly, Lily thinks you're the kindest person she knows, and she's 8, so she tells the truth. Rachel laughed, wiping her eyes. That kid's going to change the world. She already changed mine, Jack replied. Their eyes locked. Silence stretched, not awkward charge. By afternoon, volunteers had trickled in. Children were painting signs, organizing books, laughing. Rachel crouched next to Lily, organizing markers while Jack installed the final support beam beneath the reading nook. When he looked up, he saw a hand-drawn sign above the corner window. No bullies, no loud talkers, only dreamers. A declaration of hope from a little girl who understood more than most adults. Rachel read it too, her breath catching. Your daughter might be president someday, or a poet, Jack said, but she'll always remember the woman who told her she could dream out loud. Rachel looked at him, not at his flannel shirt, not his rough hands, but at his heart wide open and unguarded. Then came the shift. Mrs. Whitmore, pearl earrings glinting in the light, arrived, uninvited, clipboard in hand. Principal Bennett, she said curtly, looking Jack up and down, didn't realize the school had hired outside contractors. Jack stood slow and calm. I'm just volunteering, ma'am. Rachel stepped in. Mr. Turner is Lily's father, and he's the reason these shelves aren't collapsing. Whitmore raised an eyebrow. The PTA has certain standards for involvement. We'd appreciate it if you discussed external help with us beforehand. The condescension in her tone was razor sharp. Rachel's voice turned steel. I don't need approval to accept kindness, but the damage had been done. That night, whispers stirred through the town like dry leaves in wind. That Rachel was getting too close, that she was compromising professionalism, that Jack Turner didn't belong. By Monday, Rachel felt it in the hallway. Conversations that stopped when she entered. Emails with veiled reminders about discretion, And the worst of all doubt, not hers, theirs. That Thursday, Jack returned to the school with a box of wooden bookends he and Lily had carved together. Waves and leaves stained with honey glaze, a small gesture. Rachel met him by the front steps, her face composed, but her eyes held something else. "Can we talk?" she asked. They sat behind the cafeteria where nobody would hear. "There's been talk," she said. Jack nodded slowly. "Yeah, I figured. I don't care what people say, but I do care what the board thinks, what parents think. If they stop trusting me, I could lose the only thing I've ever built." Jack's jaw tensed. "So, what are you saying? I think we should take a step back. Just for now, until things calm down." Jack stood hard aching. "You don't owe me anything, Rachel." She reached for his hand, but he was already walking. She stayed long after he left, staring at her clipboard, wondering how doing the right thing could feel so wrong. That night, Jack didn't tell Lily, but she felt it anyway. She noticed when he stopped humming at the sink, when he waited by the truck instead of walking into the school, when his smile came slower and disappeared faster. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked one night. Jack hugged her tight. "No bug. Not you. Never you." "Then why does it feel like something's missing?" He didn't have an answer, because he was asking himself the same thing. I'm so sorry to pause the story here, especially when emotions are this raw and the future is so uncertain. But I promise what happens next will change everything again. Before we continue, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever let fear silence something beautiful before it could truly begin? Do you believe love can still find its way even when the world tells you it shouldn't? Let me know what you think in the comments. And tell me, which country are you watching from today? If this story is pulling on your heartstrings, please hit that like button and share it with someone who still believes in second chances. The air inside Maplewood Elementary's multi-purpose room was thick with silence, the kind that wrapped itself around the heart and held it still. 8-year-old Lily Turner stood on the small stage fingers, gripping the microphone like it was the only solid thing in the world. Her knees trembled beneath her yellow dress, but her voice, clear, soft, and unwavering, reached every corner of the room. Some people have houses with gates and alarms. I have my dad. Parents lean forward in their seats. Some people eat dinner with silver forks. I eat grilled cheese with my dad, and he makes me laugh when the toast lands jelly side down. There was a pause. He doesn't wear a suit, but he wears kindness, and that never goes out of style. In the back of the room, Jack Turner stood frozen. He hadn't seen the poem, hadn't helped her write it, but those words undid him. His hand went to his chest as if to hold himself together. Backstage, Rachel Bennett didn't move. Every word from Lily felt like a thread, sewing something broken back together. When the applause came loud, rising, tear-streaked, it didn't just honor a poem, it honored a truth that no longer needed hiding. Later, as the parents mingled and children ran in wild figure eights across the tile floor, Rachel walked straight through the crowd. No clipboard, no principal mask, just a woman walking toward a man she hadn't stopped thinking about. Jack didn't speak first. "I heard the poem," she said. He nodded. "I didn't know she wrote it." "I did," Rachel whispered. "Every word of it sounded like you." Jack looked down, then back up. "You think so? She sees the way you show up, even when no one else does." Rachel hesitated, then pulled a worn envelope from her purse. His handwriting, the letter he never meant to send. "I don't want this to be a letter you hide again," she said, "because I'm writing back with my own." They stood in silence, not needing to say more. Not yet. That evening, as twilight painted the town of Riverbend in watercolor skies, Jack and Rachel found themselves walking slow along the fairground path. Past booths filled with caramel apples and laughter. Past the petting zoo where Lily had begged to ride a goat. Past the lights where music spilled into the night. Rachel stopped beside a bench beneath a maple tree. "You know," she said, "I used to think love had to look a certain way. Polished, predictable, with perfect timing." Jack waited. "But then you came in late, covered in sawdust. And you didn't try to impress me. You just showed up." Jack sat beside her. "I don't have much," he said. "But what I do have, I'd share all of it with you." Rachel turned. "Then let's build something. Not perfect, but real." She reached for his hand, and he didn't let go. 2 months passed. Snow arrived early that year, painting the rooftops of Riverbend in soft white. Inside the school library, once cracked and crumbling, now stood a plaque on the window ledge. Hand-carved, smooth oak. Burned into the wood were the words, "The Dreamer's Corner," for the kids who believe in the grown-ups who remember how. In honor of Lily Turner and Miss Bennett, Jack had built it himself. That afternoon, when the halls were quiet and the heating vent hummed softly, Jack knelt beside Rachel and set down a small velvet bag. She blinked as he pulled out a simple wooden ring. "I made it from the backboard of an old library chair," he said, voice barely above a whisper. Figured it was fitting. She touched the ring like it might disappear. "You're asking me to marry you," Jack said, "because you saw me when no one else did. You gave my daughter a voice, and you gave me something I thought I'd lost for good, a future." Rachel leaned forward, tears stinging her eyes. "Yes, Jack Turner, I will." The wedding happened right there in the gym. Folding chairs, string lights, neighbors bringing homemade pies. Lily in a flower crown made of pine and glitter. Laughter bouncing off the walls. It wasn't fancy, but it was perfect. Later that night, as Jack, Rachel, and Lily stood under the snowy awning, Rachel reached for his hand. "Let's take the long way home," she said. He smiled. "We always have." Spring came slowly. One morning, Jack stepped out onto their porch, holding 2 mugs, one black one, with a splash of cream. Rachel joined him, barefoot, sweater pulled over her hands. Inside, Lily was building a birdhouse with a skylight. Rachel smiled at the sound of hammering. "Your daughter has your hands," she said. Jack looked at her. "She's your daughter now, too." Rachel didn't speak. She didn't need to. Somewhere between that library, that letter, and that bench beneath the maple tree, they had written a new story. One that didn't start loud, one that didn't beg to be noticed, but one that would be remembered. A story about kindness, about quiet miracles, about showing up even if you're 12 minutes late. Now, before we say goodbye, I'd love to know, have you ever been given a second chance, one that changed everything? Do you believe love sometimes finds us through the small doors we forgot we left open? What do you think about this story if you loved it? Comment no if it felt just okay. Comment no too, and if it didn't quite speak to you, that's all right. Just comment no button 1. Tell us which country are you watching from. And if this story moved your heart even just a little, please, drop a heart and share it with someone who still believes in quiet, unexpected, life-changing love.